Welcome back to Tao of Twang. I'm Dave. So today I'm going to give you a really quick, but I think, useful and comprehensive routine, collection of ideas to jam over this 5-1 progression. And if you recognize that melody at the beginning of that intro, I kind of borrowed a little Sugaree for that, didn't I? Because one of the things that I wanted to present to you today and to suggest that you work on is that we all work on is being more mindful of the space in between our phrasings, right? So when I did that, um, I'm mostly in I'm set up here in sort of an F um, major pentatonic. Okay. Our progression, not going to go deeply into the definition of the Mixolydian and the pentatonic and all that today because we did a lot of that in the video a couple days ago using this same backing track and analyzing the same progression. So you can check that out if you want to or need to. But the progression is F, which is the 5 chord for B flat, down to the 1, B flat. Now, you're like, well, that's 3 chords. Why? What do you mean? True. I'm playing that E flat as sort of a passing kind of a riff down to the 1 there. And that works really well because the Mixolydian scale, that flatted 7th, it just really fits in there. So, but I still consider this a 5-1 progression. Anyway, like I said, more discussion about it in the previous video. So, that if you're familiar with Sugaree, great. If not, it's a song by the Dead, and it's covered by tons of jam bands and stuff, and usually in a key other than what I'm doing here. But it just kind of came to mind when I started to play over this today, and I thought, I'm just gonna kind of channel that. Hear all that space? That's wonderful. I need work still after all this time. I will forget. I do so much guitar playing and, lick hunting and intellectualizing about it and everything. That's just so important. It's such a basic skill that it's kind of counterintuitive. The more we learn, the more we want to just do more stuff, right? But that's essential, right? That we have that sense of phrasing and human expression with our instrument, right? Anyway, enough music appreciation in class, right? So, using mostly this framework here for the major pentatonic. And this is just a lick day. I'm just going to show you some fun stuff and just go for it. Go to that backing track and just work out on this stuff. Here's one. Some patterns, that you can do. And I say that word reluctantly because, we practice in patterns, but we don't want to go out and play in patterns a lot. But little portions of patterns, yes, that is part of our improvisation style, most of us. So if we just do that kind of, that kind of rambling man thing at a slow pace like this, it gets a little kind of too obvious that it's a pattern or something, right? It's like, it's a little overbearing. One thing that I think you use a little bit more syncopation, a little bit more dance with it. And here's one of the ways that I do that with this style, especially on slower tempos. Okay. Now, pretty straightforward. You start anywhere on that scale and do 3 degrees going down. I guess you could do this going up. I usually think of it as going down, but we'll learn it going down. And real staccato there. I got a little delay on my guitar, which sounds cool. Kind of gives a little trail, but on my sound. So you're going down 1 degree at a time, but playing 3 degrees down each step. But the accenting and the dancing, don't try to overthink this. Just, listen to it a couple times and see if you can kind of sync up with it. You can play different notes than what I'm playing too. It'll harmonize with it. A little program right there. That's a little map to really find some cool stuff and do some cool stuff. And, a lot of teaching and a lot of resources, I should say, come across that what they present to you is something that you have to basically duplicate, right? And so you're just if you're like me, you're spending all your time just backing the video up and like I got to start over. Damn, there's the metro. I got to start right when this guy starts. And I try to, not do too much of that because I think it's just taxing on your brain and your body and the whole thing, right? So remember, it's called playing music, right? It's not called, getting all freaked out and having to be 100% on on the whole thing or something, right? So this stuff will work. You can play along with me, and you don't have to be doing the exact same thing, right? Listen to some old Stones albums. Man, everybody's just jamming. It's just amazing. I mean, and the interplay that you get could never be composed. None of that stuff could ever be written or figured out or here, you do this and I'll do this. It's just a witch's brew of blues guitar going on, especially when they had the first guitar, the Mick Taylor was still mixed in there. Listen to that stuff and really veg out on that. It is not composed in any way, shape, or form, right? But it's beautiful. I just love that. That they're a great example of that. But you can do that when I'm playing, and just you don't have to stop and just watch me. Jump right in there. So here's kind of a summary of what we've got going so far. Then I'll show you some of this triad stuff and a couple of other ideas and get you to the loop. F major pentatonic. I did it again. I skipped the first thing that we mentioned, mindful phrasing with punctuation. Now we get to play our scale. That Mixolydian in there. Now, I went down to that position. I'm doing most of this stuff today up in this position, but by all means, start taking that out in both directions. But, hang out where you're comfortable at first. Don't worry about, don't be halfway feeling this and already be, oh, now I got to go down here and work on that. No, stay where there, stick around long enough for the magic to really happen in there, right? And here's the Mixolydian scale in this uh, position. Okay, it's like that major scale with a flat 7. So, mindful phrasing, think like a singer, start working the scales in, use some major pentatonic stuff, some Mixolydian notes filled in there. Look at the framework. Okay. Didn't have to move out of position there at all. And then some bends. You can just bend that G string by itself, or you can bend it and hit that. All right. Let's add a few triads, and then that's going to be enough for this routine, for a practice routine here. Okay. So now if we stay right here, we need an F. Easy enough. It's kind of just like built right into that, everything that we're already doing. You can do a slide into that third, or a hammer, or a little chromatic walk up. Okay. If we don't really have to study the E flat, because just anything that works for F, drop it down to. It's an E flat, right? Okay. So let's demonstrate a little bit of that up here. We had to hunt down a B flat that's up here, right? If we, want to stay in this position. So F. I went down here just to kind of get my ear around a B flat. Then I came back up here. So if that's our root, if it's like a caged C shape, see that? And we take just those three. That's a B flat triad. So now we got a plan right here. Now you can move that down and hit that E flat on the way if you want. You kind of separate those notes and let it visualize it and kind of see it as being integrated with these other scale ideas and stuff. You can use a lot of single note stuff that's grounded in that, like this. Okay, I'm keeping those examples really straightforward on that, right? Because if we just start ripping out the triads all up and down the neck and stuff, kind of defeats the purpose of really what this lesson's really turned into, which is how to really hang out in that position and get really comfortable and have a lot of interesting things to do without, doing a lot of laborious movement, right? Later on, look for other triads. For that matter, move this whole way of thinking, this whole system that we're talking about for this position to a different one. Okay. Um, and you're going to have to use different shapes and things for that, right? But the idea of the mapping, the program you're using, would be the same conceptually. So, little bit of wrap up here. I'll try to make a little pyramid out of all the things that we talked about. I might forget one. My brain's old. But here's the main idea, and then get you to the practice loop. Appreciate you as always, and let me know how you do with this one. Okay.